Everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're really excited to be hosting this webinar. Just a few housekeeping items. Today's session is going to run for approximately 45 minutes. We are recording the session and we'll share it with you, very shortly after the webinar. So you don't have to worry about taking notes. We'll have it all sent to you at the end. There is a dedicated Q&A at the end, right? So please use the Zoom Q&A window to send in your questions. If it's possible, we'll try and address those sort of during the course of this webinar, so you can get some real-time feedback, but we will spend time, at least 15 minutes towards the end for dedicated Q&A. So today we're going to be speaking about sort of how you can accelerate test automation, right? Just scaling QA, especially with AI coming up as one of the real disruptors to the way that quality professionals are going about their business. My name is Vignesh. I'm a senior product manager with BrowserStack. I help build a test observability product. So it's an end-to-end test reporting, debugging, analytics, monitoring, and workflow solution. Been with BrowserStack for over 5 years. Seen a lot of change in the way the quality is done as an industry. And prior to BrowserStack, I used to be a DevOps professional as well. So I think my entire career I've spent just making developers and engineers more productive and helping them ship better software. It's something I'm quite passionate about. And I'm super excited to be joined by Ranjith. Ranjith is a senior engineering manager with Q2. Ranjith, do you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you, everyone. Really excited to see that people are joining from Austin and Bangalore. Both are our, the global and India headquarters. So excited to see folks, everyone. Let me quickly share you my, my journey from where I started and where I am today. In 2009, when I was in college, at that time, we founded an organization called MyPustak. And as every startup has the problem, you have 4 people and doing 50 different jobs. So we were wearing the different hats of a developer, QE, and all that aspect. My job was to ensure that the quality is in check. One fine night, I think like it's within a couple of months of launch, we saw that we have received 20 orders, but our account didn't get credited with a single dollar. So we understood that, okay, there is some critical part which I missed. As a result, my whole team from college pass out to a 10 years experience person, they all had to sit whole night to fix that. And every single minute they were spending, and I was like, blaming myself that what kind of impact I'm creating to my team, especially when they are looking forward to me as a founder of the organization. So that day become a lot of inspiration for me to choose QE as a journey. When I started my journey professionally, I started with the service-based company where the UI mobile and API automation. I am a coding enthusiast. So I started my journey. I wanted to go into QE, not because of I don't had any choice. I opted that as a choice and I wanted to excel in that. So I started my journey with automation. In the first few years, I was just focusing on the test case writing as the environment was there for just write the test cases. When I moved to the product based companies, I understood the testing is beyond just writing the these part. I understood the importance of test infrastructure, DevOps. I upskilled myself on those areas. Then I looked into, when I moved to the fintech, I understood beyond functional testing also there is a world which we called as a non-functional testing, and areas like performance test, security test, accessibility test. All these are an important part of it. That the fintech world introduced me these part of testing and the automation around that. I'll talk about those in my subsequent slide. At present, I'm working as a senior manager for quality enablement team at Q2. My primary role involved me to ensure that all my QE peers in the organization are working with most efficiently. So we are providing the right tooling, right training to all my QEs across organization to ensure that they are able to do their job right. Some of the area as everybody excited here and joined that to understand the AI. That's my personal area of preference when it comes to testing. So there are some work in progress. I'll talk about that in the subsequent slides.
Awesome. I mean, I think just looking at some of the dates on the slide, most people, I think, in 2012 were still figuring out how to set up a Selenium grid, right? Like things were so new. So I think you've probably been sort of at the forefront of ensuring that all of the newest tech, newest trends in testing get adopted. I think that bodes well for us because we're going to be talking about AI, which is, just very quickly coming upon us and disrupting every job, right? Including QE. So awesome. I think Ranjit, like since you mentioned you're from like a fintech background, can you tell me more about like just like what are the stakes in financial applications, right? Or fintech applications, just so I think all of us today can build an understanding of the kind of setup that you work in and how mission critical things are.
Sure, Vignesh. So when you ask about the importance of testing is everywhere in the industry. If you are working as part of airlines testing, you are like basically protecting people's life by running the test. When you're working in the fintech, you are basically protecting people money, hard-earned money with with your testing which you are doing. I have taken the four important examples. There are a lot of the testing impacts. Recently you must have seen the crowd failure for the Microsoft, which impacted all the industry. But I have picked four important example in the fintech and four different kind of mistake these four organizations did. So start with the the Night Capsule Group, which was a trading company. They had the faulty deployment for a new platform they created, and they passed the older code. So at that time, they did not did the real after patch, they did not run the complete regression. Whenever we are going into any of these faster deployment world, our goal is to quickly hit to the market and ensure that your customer experience the new thing. But we forget the importance of having the complete security, complete rigorous release validation for that part. That mistake they did. Another thing is like they do not have the rollback strategy in place. So within 45 minutes, $460 million were swiped off from their platform. The next one, the TSB, is the different from that. They had a they were migrating their core banking. The first one we saw is the deployment failure. The next one we are talking about is the migration failure. The When they were migrating their core banking from one platform to another platform, they just tested their core banking platform feature. But whenever we are migrating the enterprise solution, there is a great cascading effect of the areas which you are migrating. Could be like your KYC platform completely get disrupted because your core banking is not working with that and whatnot. Like every possible feature, we should do end-to-end system, the integration test for that, which they did not do. And as a result, they had faced massive loss, more than $330 million, pound they lost. Their CEO resigned on the same day. Within 2 days, they lost 80,000 customers from their platform. The next one was when this example is when we have doing the patch deployments, or when we are doing the batch processing after deploying any of the patch version of the software. They did not validated the complete failover validations, that if a batch processing is failing, what kind of implication it can bring to my product. And the subsequent the cascading effect went to an extent that they had to lose the 100 million of the 100 millions of dollars for that particular part. And the last one is interesting example with Visa, that every enterprise companies typically have the primary server and the backup servers. As a QE, we typically we are testing our primary system and ensuring that the primary system is working fine. In Visa case also, they did the same mistake. They were not having even the basic health check for their secondary system, that in case of the hardware failure or any failure in the data center, if it is switched to the the secondary data center, whether it will be able to perform in the same efficiency or not. So they did not have that particular part. So this particular example teaches that have the real-time observability not only for your primary systems, but have the kind of basic test mechanism, the health check and all that for your secondary system as well, although it is not being used by your end customers. So these are the disaster, the recovery testing part of it, which all of us should learn from this particular example. They had a more than $100 million failed in the peak hours, and it become the talk of the town in 2018.
I think one of the things that I'm seeing, right, is like progressively each example, um, it's not just functional testing, right? Like maybe the first example I think you spoke about was like, like the regression suite maybe could have caught it. But like the visa example is far beyond that. I think there's so many different things to learn, and quality and ensuring things are gonna be up and working, I think is so much more expansive than just like automation coverage, for example, as a metric. So this is pretty interesting. So uh, how do you sort of look at sort of innovation in fintech, or in general, right? And like in testing, like what do you think people need to be focusing on so that they can prevent issues like these as a whole?
Yeah. So as like being QE, I'm sure like our audience also, they are pretty much the expert in the functional aspect of it. There are certain innovation which is required for the not only for the fintech space, but rest of the testing space is to invest in the non-testing areas, sorry, non-functional testing areas as well. So for example, performance test, security test, accessibility testing, all that. It's really important to train your functional testers to do this. When we say train your functional tester, provide them the right kind of tooling, provide them the right kind of the tools which help them to run these kind of tests quickly. I'll take a couple of minutes for each one of that. So let's start with the performance engineering or performance testing. When we are doing the performance test, the first important part is to generate the production like load. When we say production like load, try to be as the real user behavior. So for example, like if you're part of digital banking, or if you are part of e-commerce company, you have a user ID, the number of users. So if your load is of 100,000 user, don't try to log in with the single user for the 100,000 the virtual user. Try to create the variety of users and the volume as possible, as much as possible in your system, so that you can create the real user behavior for that point. There are multiple type of testing in the soak test, like in the load test, performance test. All these are the different type of testing. Based on the industry to industry, you should do that. When we talk about for example, when we talk about the peak test, so if you are a part of e-commerce company, or like you're part of a company where like flash sales are happening on your platform, so those kind of situation, you will see that the peak load is maybe 100x of your regular load. So you should understand your user behavior and generate the load accordingly, so that you can run the performance test accordingly. In terms of fintech, we typically go to 3x or 4x or 5x volume, depending on the area to area and the product to product they are using. So in the performance test, what kind of area we can take care of? Look into your database performance, look into your, like when I say database platform, look into how fast the database pooling is there, or like the memory caching is there or not. There is connection pools are effectively managed there or not. Is there your queries are optimized or not? So those kind of basic checks you can do as a part of performance test. When you are talking about the hosting, take care of like whether your system is able to scale up, scale down properly or not, what kind of a scaling policy is in place. So all those kind of stuff you can the test with that. There are different kind of tools which can help you in that. For example, like K6 load runner, all these are the different tools which can help you to generate load, and then use the the tools like Grafana or like Splunk to monitor the different kind of the behavior which your load is generating in terms of infrastructure, in terms of your application for that matter. Next part is the security test. Security test, as I was saying, that being a part of the security gatekeepers for the fintech companies, it's really important to run the security test. And when we say security test, don't rely on just your security testing groups to run all those. As a part of QE, start investing your time with basic security scan in place. There are a lot of third-party tools. You can build your own tools as well with help of there's so many AIs in place. And check your every code which are getting checked in. run the security scan on it. It will tell you whether which kind of code is your security testing compliant or not. So there are a lot of, from the fintech standpoint, SOC 2 compliance is something which like all the fintech companies has to follow. But industry to industry, these compliances generally change. So I would highly suggest you that invest some time in the security testing aspect of it and see how you can help your system to get protected, whether it is a backend based or UI based. You should the multiple free tools can help you to the start with the security testing component of it. The last one in the testing part is the accessibility testing. Whenever we are talking about the inclusivity, we typically forget this part when it comes to our product users. So very few users are the visually challenged users who are using our product. If you look into the numbers, they are probably less than 0.5% of the total user, or even less than that. But when we talks about the inclusivity in life, we forget about them when it comes to the product. So we should take care of that, and not only from the ethical or moral standpoint, but from the compliance standpoint as well. I can tell you some of the examples, like in fintech, especially when these products are not compliant, they had to go and pay million dollars fine or the compensation. Be it like, I can tell you some of the banks which is in public domain, which has been sued for the not being accessibility compliant: Wells Fargo, HSBC, JP Morgan, Bank of America. All these has been sued by the by respective target audience, and they had to pay them the hefty fine for that. The biggest one was Domino's. They had paid more than $10 million fine for not being accessibility compliant. Now, how we can test that? The very simple. There is a the automation test is all about the game of libraries. So there is a very popular library called X. All these tools using, which are providing the accessibility compliance, they are primarily using X as a backend, the library. So try X with X library with the basic check, and you will able to see that it is creating impact on your overall testing journey on this particular component. The last one in this is the infrastructure automation. I already spoken about that in past, that it's really important to understand your system. When I say understand your system, if you're working part of infrastructure, the enterprise organization, you should make sure there are repeatable test infra, and that you can create through the concepts like Terraform. You can define the steps in the Terraform, that every test automation in your organization, what kind of steps it should take. The Docker Compose and the YAMLs, and there are multiple concept around that which can help you to do that. Docker containers, which can help you to ensure that you have the consistency across environment, across platform, across teams. The setups or the guidance you are providing as a part of central team, it is being followed across everywhere, and they don't have to reinvent the wheel every time when they are investing in the in that part of that. And of course, like CI/CD and all that, I'm sure all of us are using that. The last one, not least, the AI. We will talk a lot about the the AI in subsequent slide, but we just wanted to zoom in and talk about some of the important area in these aspects as well.
Awesome. Thanks for that detailed walkthrough, Ranjit. I think like one question I have, and I think probably it's on the minds of folks listening in as well, is uh you know some of these blur the lines between what folks think are traditional, owned by sort of quality engineering teams, right? Who focus a lot on functional testing, for example. So sort of what's your POV there? Like, how do you think quality leaders um should look at all of these types of testing and sort of take ownership of these types of testing?
Yeah. So the general hesitation is that whether the functional QEs and will understand this world of testing or not. But I always feel that learning technology is much easier than learning your entire business. It takes a lot of time to get into the skin of your customer and understand the business component of it. All of the people who are doing the functional testing, they understand the business most. So it's important that provide them the right kind of capabilities with help of automation so that they can do these kind of testing. Don't try to achieve the 100% coverage in the performance, security, and stability. Start in the small phases. You will see the change, and those impacts your customer will come and tell you.
Awesome. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's about enabling folks to do more, and I think I'm hope like with AI, I think that's what's going to happen as well, right? Like we're going to have more time to probably do more types of testing and sort of improve quality holistically. I think that's one of the things that we're trying to enable at BrowserStack as well. It's pretty interesting that I think creating test cases and plans, writing tests seem to be like some of the most popular options. Nearly 70% of the audience seems to think that test plans are an issue, writing test cases is an issue, and almost like every area it had at least like 40 to 50% were excited to see how like reporting, debugging could be improved. So, Ranjith, do you want to talk about how AI is being used day to day in your organization, like some of the real use cases that you're unlocking?
Yeah, sure. So like this is very high level, and we'll go into the detail. We'll zoom in into how AI is helping in each one of the area. But there is a three component which I have which we are using, or I suggest my audience to invest AI in the test. One is like look into how your QEs are doing your day-to-day job. So they're writing the test cases, they're writing the automation scripts, they're writing the regression suits. So all these three area where you can take help of AI, test case generation, low code automation, visual AI regression. All these are the some of the examples of it. We'll get into the those in the subsequent slides. The next is how AI can help you in each and every steps of QA. So from the Jira creation to release automation, what are the different jobs like bug logging up, running a test, finding a analyzing the logs, finding the issue out of that, logging an issue, validating it, and ensuring like your test suite is up to date. So those kind of stuff you can help with the agentic AI. We'll talk about that as well. And the last one is once your product is out in market or the release is out in market, how it can the defect analysis or the observability standpoint, where exactly AI can help on that. So can we move to the next slide, please? So this is a very the high level or simple example. I have tried to segregate the agentic AI model. And when I say agentic AI, what exactly it means, like you have to think the every AI model or every AI agent as your teammates who are doing the different jobs. And the way your new team members are coming on board, you are training them for writing the test cases. So treat that as a test case generator agent. What that agent does is, based on the prompt you provide, it will quickly write the test cases for you. So when I say that when you provide the the prompt, I mean like you can use any of the LLM based GPT engines, which can help you to understand your product scenario and help you to write the quick test based on the prompt you are providing. So that will become your test case generator agent. Like let's say when you started and it is not able to write the effective test case, don't quickly discard that. Tell the agent that you are making these kind of mistake so that it can improve next time. And when you iterate this multiple time, it will you will see the improvement on that. So typically if somebody is asking you that what is the ROI of that, so one single QE, if you are asking them to write the manual test cases, by understanding all the scenarios and writing it, logging into your test management system, typically they cannot do more than 10 to 12 end-to-end test cases in a day. Consider that it is an 8 hour, the 12 test cases. AI will do that particular job in 10 minutes. But whether the 10 minutes, the outcome is as good as it was done in the 8 hours, no. You have to invest another hour to validate that, to tell that back that, okay, you have made these mistakes, correct it, and all that. So maybe around you will able to save 70 to 75% time in writing the test cases. So that's the test case generator agent. How you can build it? Very simple. Use like OpenAI or Azure AI, all these for the test case templating. And you can integrate that with the Jira or any of the BrowserStack test management or any of the test management tool to quickly learn from your model and generate the test. The next one is the test executor agent. So there are a lot of tools in market already out of the box, like which does the low-code automation. So which understand from your test, understand your product, and write the quickly the script for you, and the run the code in front of you, where you will able to see that, okay, I'm going through screen by screen and whether it is doing the right job or not. Any language which you choose, you are choosing Python, Java, anything, it will quickly the extract code for you, which you can add back into your regression suite and run every day. So test executor isn't again, like you can build with any of the Python or Go based or a Java based the languages. We can use the schedulers like Jenkins and Nomad, which can run your test every day. Even you can use your existing regression suites and ask the AI engines to look into that, improve it, and run it every day. The next one is the result reviewer agent, or the one which you see in the yellow, that there is a time comparison written there. There 33 hours, your QEs are investing, 30 minutes the AI is doing. What exactly we mean by that? If you are analyzing a log, or if you are looking into even the screenshots of the failures, it will take literally a lot of time. If you have the 5% failure in your regression suite, even if multiple team members are investing time to look into those, coming to a conclusion takes a lot of time. The AI can quickly do that. These are the real easy job for any of the GPT APIs to help and do that particular part. Whether it is an image-based comparison or text-based comparison, it can quickly do that. You can integrate that with those Slack, Teams, or any of the channel, where it can send you the summary, and that particular out of that summary, your the log examiner agent, you again have to create another agent, which typically work into your observability suite. When I say observability suite, you must, I mean, every organization have their certain tool where logs are getting stored. So it sits into there. So for example, like if you I'll take an example of tools like the Datadog, or like ELK stack, or any Splunk. All these are the log generators. You can connect your AI engines with those logs, and they can take input from your Slack or any channel where your result reviewer agent has published the outcome. Based on these two, it will go through 1,000 line of code in the log and tell you exact summary. What kind of summary it can tell? So for example, like your request had changed in the recent time, or the response behavior had changed, that certain things seems to be down in the downstream systems, or the upstream systems request has changed. These kind of quick insight it can give you. The last and the summary, it can summarize and publish it for any of the platform where you have given it. The same platform, your E2 reporter agent, which any of the third party tools or your homegrown tools which you are using, for example, like let's say test case management for be it BrowserStack or any other tool for that matter, you can basically integrate all the big tools like Jira, BrowserStack. All these are providing you the simple integrator with these AI engines, where it can go based on your logs, based on all the four agents which has worked in past. It will summarize it and create a bug for you. When I say create a bug for you, you can basically define a template also. So your template says that write the steps to reproduce. It will nicely write the steps to reproduce. Your say that, okay, attach the screenshot, attach the log. The all five agents will communicate with each other and attach it. These models are very, very simple to build. It's just like you have to, those are working on the prompt engineering, basic simple prompt engineering, and you just have to create those simple agents and integrate with your existing tools, so that your job become more efficient and the fast. Like if you have a question around that, what kind of components to use in each agent, we can talk about that. Otherwise, we'll move to the next slide. Any questions anyone have on this piece?
Yeah, I think we're getting questions in the chat. We can probably address those towards the end. Ranjit, do you want to do like a quick high-level overview of basically like, I think you've talked about the journey, but do you want to talk about this journey and also the ROI at a high level?
Yeah, sure. So the when we are all the agents which we have spoken about, those were like part of agentic flow. The one important part is once you go in production, how to ensure that your regression suites are up to date. So like, let's say you have a 10 escaped bugs. When I say escaped bug, I mean like which the bug which your internal QE couldn't find, your customer found. When you have the 10 escape bug, how you are making sure that in next regression it won't come. So the AI and observability can help you not only on those areas, but it can actually predict some of the bugs for you, and it can tell you like that where exactly you should invest your the innovations, or invest the automation improvement, so that those bugs doesn't come in picture. So I have segregated that in the five component areas. One is like the failure analysis. So your agentic models, the I have just spoken about, like it will go through your thousands of line of logs. If you are running a regression suite, you will, if you look into the size of log, those are humongous based on application to application. So it can actually help you to quickly identify and spot the pattern, that what pattern it sees based on the escape bugs, or based on the the previous runs anomaly it finds over there. Then it can help you to understand the coverage improvement. And again, like everything which I'm talking about, this can be trained with a simple prompts. You don't have to write too much code around that. So for example, if I am talking about the pattern spotting, the very simple prompt, you can tell your code that analyze all the requests and compare that with last 10 days request, and tell me the differences which you see in the pattern, the pattern difference in these logs. The normal engine typically fail to do so, because like if your input has a name as, let's say, Ranjith, and another request has a name of Vignesh, the normal comparison engine will fail. But AI will smartly tell that, okay, this is talking about name, let's talk about the any of the anomaly over there. So similar to that, the coverage improvement, alert filtering, and optimization, all of that, it can take care of the AI observability space.
Awesome. So I think quickly, Ranjit, like I think the ROI I think we spoke about, but like if you had to like give it like in like a one-liner or a two-liner, how would you um help maybe other QA leaders justify internally the investment in AI, right? Like both time-wise to get things set up or get the right tooling, and also like the monetary investment to level up from current tooling to AI tooling.
Yeah. So as I said, like break your problem into small components. So if your challenge is your most of your automation engineers are investing 40% time in writing manual test cases, look into the simple tools, or look into your, if organization is allowing to use the open source AIs, just go over there and see that how you can create a basic agentic model who can help you to write the test cases faster. Compare those two data for a week or a month, present it to your organization. I'm sure like they will see the difference, and they will the help to understand the ROI and in investment in that. And similar to that, like whatever you are seeing here for, I have already spoken about. So we can
Awesome.
move to the next one.
Awesome. So I think like just like very quickly before the Q&A, we'd like to sort of walk through what we're doing in BrowserStack, right? I think like the multi-agent framework that Ranjit spoke about how attacking problems for every single sort of job to be done in the QA engineer's life is what we're trying to target it with BrowserStack. So our vision as an organization is to really have AI agents at every step of the testing lifecycle, right? Like how can we both improve coverage, accuracy, and productivity? So all the way from the test planning phase, right, to like identifying what needs to be done, to the test creation and maintenance phase, to just test execution as well, right? And finally, once those tests have executed, the validation phase. There are already agents available in BrowserStack's multiple products, and we're developing, dozens of AI agents as we speak to really disrupt and enhance sort of the workflow of a QE professional. And sort of BrowserStack's test platform, so as to speak, it covers everything, right? So some of you may be aware of our functional testing products, like BrowserStack Live and App Live, which is like manual testing on demand. You can pick up a browser a device or a browser and then start interacting with it on demand. There's also like our infrastructure products like Automate and App Automate, which many of you may be aware of to run your automation tests at scale on our cloud. But in the last few years, BrowserStack has gone so much more, and we offer multiple tools to help you sort of get the job done, right? Whether it's accessibility testing, visual testing to catch visual regressions, to even like test management with AI, or test reporting and analytics with automatic bug triaging, helping you identify flaky tests and so on and so forth. There's an entire suite of products, and all of them talking to each other under the hood, which we've been building. One of the things that I'm really excited to show you is actually from a test management perspective, the test case creation aspect of AI. So I think like this is something that many of you had responded to in the poll as well, right? So this is something that takes a significant amount of time. So basically helping users create create test cases basis of requirements, and then set up those tests as well, like properly, like stepwise. So the way that we benchmark this by one, like speaking to our customers and also just looking at the QA job internally, we find that you can actually create test cases in like under a minute. And I think we're able to like do 90% or coverage against a given task versus say what a QA would have done in a few hours or even days, right? And at a really, really high accuracy. I think sort of just to double on what Ranjith said, AI takes you like 90% of the way there today, and the remaining 10% is all you need to invest to ensure things are firing fine. I think there was a question in the chat about how do you ensure that stuff still gets done? Is it vibe coding? No, it's definitely not. I think this is taking the QA professionals' productivity to another level so that they can ensure that all the fine details are looked at. So, and again, this is only going to go up, right? I think we see the North Star in BrowserStack as, you're going to be like 98, 99% in terms of coverage accuracy. And things really then open up for you to do way more and ensure even better quality for your customers. And there's more, like, test management tool, for example, is like really push AI from test selection to even like taking your test cases and then helping you like author low-code tests. So I'd like to sort of show you like a very quick demo of the test management. I just need, yeah. I hope this loads up. So a very quick demo of how our test management tool works, right? So I'll walk you through like how the generation itself works. So you can simply go ahead, generate with AI, and upload sort of like a PRD, right? So I think what we really want to do is help you bring in any sort of PDF document that has the context about a feature. So you would upload it, and we can review it and then instantly start generating AI test cases. So like this would start happening in under a minute, and you're gonna see like basically multiple test cases grouped by sort of what that functionality is or what that case is, and you'll be able to start going ahead and adding them to your sort of repository of test cases. In fact, what you can do is the test case details also get generated on demand. So naturally, like the test case title alone is not going to help you, right? So you would need to know every single step in a test case. How does that look and feel? This is gonna basically generate it all for you so that you can simply then go ahead and validate, right? So basically, like totally like cutting short the time to understanding something and generating the test cases and ensuring that those are robust. What's even more handy is the ability to sort of go ahead and generate like an automated test case. So BrowserStack has a low-code automation tool. So all of the steps that get generated by AI sort of feed directly into the low-code automation tool, and it would go ahead and run an automated test on your behalf. So this is just like one of the sort of agentic AI workflows that we have in BrowserStack's test management tools. There are other agentic AI tools, like for example, we've got like a self-healing agent. So if you're running automation tests, we can reduce flakiness with helping you self-heal a test, right? Retrying with better selectors and so on and so forth. So this is sort of the future for BrowserStack, and building that test platform with products that not only talk to each other, but sort of really level up a QA professional's sort of ability to focus on the right things, right? So yeah, I think that's a very high overview. If you're interested in more of how this could help you and how the entire sort of test platform comes together with all of our different products, and you see any one thing that appeals to you, feel free to raise your hand. I think we'll put up a poll question so that you can indicate your interest, and we'll reach out to you after this webinar. So, yep. Let's head into Q&A. So I think let me just go through the Q&A that we've got in the chat, and let's go through one thing at a time. Yeah, I think Kurt had a very interesting question, right? Like, how do we ensure that there are no bugs in the application and it's following all the compliances? How can QA play a role on coding done by devs, as vibe coding is happening more and more these days? Ranjith, what's your take on this?
Sorry, can you come again on the question, please?
Yeah, so Kurt's question is, how do we ensure that even if like the UX is fine, like in a completed application, how do we ensure that it's following all the compliances, there's no bug? How can QA play a role on the code built by devs? Like Kurt's point is that vibe coding is happening more and more these days. How does QA evolve to sort of meet this changing landscape?
Yeah. So two part. One is like the first part of the question is how you can make bug free. Honestly, we can never make a platform bug free. But the point is like how we can minimize the impact of bugs in the production. If at all it is leaking, the impact should be minimum. Now, where QA can play a role. So even if the vibe coding or like the several kind of AI tools which developers are using in terms of validating, writing the unit test and all that stuff, the 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 AI platform is not understanding the day-to-day changes of your product. You are the one who are understanding as a part of QA. So when developers are working, their focus is more to ensure that technically their the product is working fine and there is no leak and miss in that. When QAs are testing, they should think from the functional standpoint, customer standpoint, and write the test cases, automation suits accordingly to ensure that each and every functionality of it is covered. Take a simple example. Pick a PQA and pick a developer from a respective squad and team and try to understand how much functionality and component they understand. Typically, developer understand the area where they are working, the QA understand the overall segment of it. So that's where like they can help you to, both of them will write the test, but their test will be different kind of nature and a different kind of purpose they will serve.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Ranjit. John Piro's got a question. If AI generates hundreds of test cases, they all need to be reviewed because we know AI makes up information, right? So how do you ensure that the quality of the generated test is high? Um, you know, I think the philosophical question that John's got is, it seems we shift QA from thinking about tests to reviewing tests. So what's your take there?
Yeah. So I always say that treat AI as your colleague who can do your bulk job which you don't like to do. Do the things which you are more interested doing in that. I'm sure like when you ask somebody that, hey, your job is like 5 days a week, come and just write the manual test cases, you will find very few QA to be very enthusiastic about doing that job. Now, how? So of course, like our interest area is not that as a QA. What is our interest area? That after writing the test cases, whatever the steps there, where we contribute more efficiently. Now, how, if your AI is hallucinating and writing thousands of, the tests which are junk in nature, the simple way is provide the right set of information to your AI. So, for example, the more you train your AI, the better the outcome it will give. The lesser your requirements are written, the lesser or the more abstract your prompts are written, the more junk or generic test it generates. So in day one, if it is generating 100 junk tests, if you are keep repeating the exercise with the same tool, on 100th day you will find that it will be reduced with a tremendous amount of the success, and you will see that on that day, probably it is generating 5 or 10 the test, and your review time will of course decrease.
Awesome. I think we've got a question on, like, I think a similar question from Karen on evolution of QA with AI. I think we've answered that. Quite a few questions in chat. I'm just going through. I think we've got an interesting one here. Regarding accessibility, right? Is understanding the respective underlying rules, is it a journey worthwhile, like understanding the underlying rules, or just using a library, is that enough? Like, what's your POV there?
Yeah. So as I said, like the difference between the AI, the first, when I was answering the first question, that why a QA can do a different job and developer while they are both are doing testing. Same for accessibility as well. If you are not understanding accessibility as a functionality, you will not able to even validate your AI has generated the test, or AI has written, or the library has generated the outcomes is efficient, effective or not. So first part, understand what exactly accessibility mean, how does it helps the user. Then look into your libraries or AI or any other tool to see that the effectiveness of that particular outcome.
Got it. So I think there are quite a few questions, right? So we'll take a few, just in the remaining time that we have. But in case yours doesn't get answered, rest assured we'll sort of reach out over email and follow up with you, so that your questions do get answered. I think there's a lot of demand for Ranjit today. So I think there's like one interesting sort of group of questions that's coming up, right? Is like, how do these AI agents get trained? How do they get configured to sort of achieve the metrics that sort of, that we're looking at, right? So maybe I'll take this from the BrowserStack perspective, but Ranjit, you can definitely add in your sort of um, your innovator hat as well, right? From the BrowserStack perspective, I think, look, if any product, it's got to be like mission, like it's got to be production grade, mission critical, right? So the way that our engineering team, our product teams go about this is ensuring that there's a very, very robust set of guidelines, right? Speaking to, we've got over 50,000 customers, speaking to all of our customers, understanding the real world use cases that they're up to, right? What kind of testing are they doing? Taking their feedback and ensuring that the models are continuously iterated upon, and basically testing them against real world data again. If, for example, a manual QA who spent a week on manual effort, sort of by a quality engineer, took a week and was able to create, say, 100 test cases of a certain quality, how well did the AI do against it, right? I think, again, just to double click on Ranjit's sort of a point from earlier, we're not trying to make AI compete with the human, but collaborate with the human, right? So what we're looking at is how much time is the AI saving, and at what degree. So I think that's how we go about it. It's just ensuring that there's a lot of investment in the training, in the methodology you use to go about developing these. So that's how it goes. But Ranjit, what's your take? Like, do you have anything that you look at when you're building AI agents yourself?
Yeah, so I agree with that. Uh, the basic question was there, that how to train your AI models.
Mm-hmm.
If your organization allows to feed the data or the learning in your AI model, you are most welcome. I mean, you should directly go and train the model. It will automatically start generating the right set of, the closer to real outcomes for you. If your organization is not allowing to, the train those models, make sure your prompts are very effective enough so that the respective AI model from your input understand your business, and from their deep LLM learning, uh, it understand the market. With those two learning, it generate the right set of outcome for you. If anything is missing, it will hallucinate and provide you the incorrect outcome on that.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point, Ranjit. Basically, I think context is the game, right? So I think even with like the test management sort of AI demo that we showed, I think we've got like a few questions here on like, how does it work? How does it get stuff done? Um, you're able to put in a text prompt. You're providing a PRD, right? So basically, in my opinion, right, like, uh, I see like our QAs, like as a product manager, when I'm working with my engineering and QA folks, Basically the better the PRDs I can give them, the quicker it is, like the less additional context that the QA has to put in, right? Or, I think Justin Collier has a question on, like, does the agent map the whole website? The agent doesn't need to map the whole website, like, and go through that manual process. If you can give the agent that context, that here's my website structure, something as simple as here's a sitemap, does loads for an AI agent. So however much context you can give it, it just makes it more powerful. And I think that's sort of where we're at. So knowing how to augment the AI with the right information. So yeah, I think that's roughly where it's at. We've got a few questions around sort of like how BrowserStack's AI agents are already, like, are they available? How do they work? For anyone with that question, we'll probably drop you an email. Yes, we have quite a few AI agents already deployed, built in. The self-healing and the test management ones we talked about today. They work for any kind of test, web app. So we're happy to reach out and share more information. But in the interest of time, I'll just pick maybe one or two questions, and then we can go ahead. I think there's one question that's interesting. Like, did you consider an approach to QA for mobile apps for the telecom industry that require testing eSIM installation or interaction? What can AI do for me regarding this test scenario? Ranjit, do you have a take?
I'm not much familiar on that standpoint, like how eSIM installation works, but I'm sure like if it is not related to your hardware directly, the most of the LLM learning on that particular space will help AI to quickly get into the scenarios which are relevant for that particular test and generate it for you. But honestly, I do not have expertise in that area, so I'll
Got it.
I'll
Thanks. Yeah. I think we're pretty much over time. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day, or have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.